Hey, morning. I'm jumping on for a few minutes before I move out today. Um, there is a matter about the toll that I think bears some discussions before um, the PNP. They have put out a flyer. The JLP is asking us to deny factual evidence. That's the PNP's flyer. The JLP is asking us to deny factual evidence. And the PNP says that no amount of twisting can deny the fact the toll rate mechanism was signed by the JLP in 2011. And then they go on to say receipts beat revisionism every time. The PNP says that after due consideration is given to such submissions, an order is made for the increase to be implemented. And then the PNP goes on to say that the facts don't care about JLP excuses. They care about Jamaica, the People's National Party. So the People's National Party is on a campaign to blame the governing JLP for the toll increases. Um, you believe that? You believe that? The PNP is so barefaced. They have the temerity, the unmitigated audacity to be laying blame for the toll increase at the feet of the Jamaica Labour Party. Now, I believe that if the party sits down and allow the PNP to back them in this corner, then I don't understand what would happen. The national conversation, you see, about toll road has become political because the PNP wants it to become political. It is a strategy of the PNP to make this into a political debate because it includes and involves cost to consumers. The PNP is focusing on who signed the contract. And the response is predictable. It wasn't me. It wasn't me who signed it. Now, while this may generate headlines, it misses the important question. Now, imagine that you go to your school to pick up your son's report. You and your partner goes to the school to pick up the report. And you are arguing about who signed for the report. Who signed the report is of no moment, you know. What is important is what is in the report and what would have caused what is in the report to be in the report. Who signed the report, no matter. And this is the problem with Jamaica. And this is a problem I think the party will have to address. And I have been flogging this so often that we have a civic literate problem in Jamaica. The issues are not being properly dissected, and so people are left confused. The political debate now centers around who signed the report. That is irrelevant. The issue is not who signed the agreement. The issue is why Jamaica found itself in a position where such agreement became acceptable in the first place. That's the issue. The issue is not the signature. The issue is why did Jamaica find itself in a position where such agreement became acceptable? And I will tell you why. By the late 1990s, early 2000, Jamaica was burdened by severe fiscal challenges. The financial sector crisis, including the intervention through FinSAC, combined with years of weak economic performance, rising public debt, and governance failures, left the country with one of the highest debt to GDP ratio in the world, well above 100% for many years. In such circumstances, governments have far less bargaining power. When a nation is heavily indebted, and when a nation is dependent on external finances or financing, its negotiating position is weak. In practical terms, Jamaica was not negotiating from a position of strength. The country needed capital to build infrastructure, to restore confidence, and sustain economic activity. It could not get the money to borrow. And so investors and international financial institutions understood that Jamaica was vulnerable. They took advantage of us. But we can't blame them. Those with whom we negotiated took advantage of us. We were vulnerable to the multilaterals. We were vulnerable to the investors. And so whether any particular toll agreement could have been improved is open to debate. But it is difficult to ignore the broader context. And the broader context is that a country under immense financial pressure rarely negotiates as an equal partner. When you're broke, you don't have no negotiating power. We were vulnerable and we were abused. It is the surrendering of our sovereignty for asphalt, because the government led the country so poorly that we had no talk. Mark Carney puts it well. You're either at the table or you're on the menu. There are countries that are on the menu and there are other countries that are at the table. Take, for example, the United States. The president can wake up tomorrow morning and put on a tariff on goods coming into the United States. You take it or you leave it. When the United States go to the table, they negotiate from strength. Countries like Dubai and Singapore. So the real issue is not the contract. The signature was the final act. The deeper issue was the gradual loss, the gradual erosion of economic sovereignty. When you lose your economic sovereignty, you accept contracts like these. When you lose control of your finances, the bank goes into your account, they take out what they want, they seize your assets. And I want you to understand that sovereignty is not surrendered through military force or constitutional changes only. Sovereignty is surrendered. It is diminished when you have unsustainable debt, persistent fiscal mismanagement. You surrender your sovereignty when your country is corrupt. You surrender your sovereignty when you close down 44,000 businesses. You surrender your sovereignty when you borrow so much that your debt to GDP is 140%. You surrender your sovereignty when you have weak economic governance. And when those conditions exist, you don't have no choice. Your choices are constrained. And then you have to accept terms that you would otherwise reject if you were healthier. A sick man can't negotiate, doctor. When you're sick and you're broke, you can't negotiate whether you go to KPH or to Andrews Memorial. You can't broke and sick and I tell people, say, carry me go to Andrews. How you pay for it? You go anywhere they want to go and you're happy if you go there too. And that is the lesson Jamaica should take from the toll debate. So instead of asking who signed, we should ask what economic conditions brought us to that point. Because unless we address the underlying causes, fiscal discipline, productivity, transparency, accountability, and sustained economic growth, then we risk repeating the same cycle under different contracts and under different governments. And if Jamaica don't take note and press forward with its economic independence, we are going to be told forever. If we don't understand the importance of economic independence and economic sovereignty, we will be told forever. The real debate, therefore, is not about the pen on the signature. It is about preserving national sovereignty through sound economic management. Because a financially strong Jamaica negotiates from the table. A financially weak Jamaica negotiates from the menu. That is the lesson we should remember long after the political arguments have faded. And in that regard, the People's National Party cannot escape responsibility for the toll. It is the PNP that is primarily responsible for Jamaica's position on the menu for years. That is not up for debate. It was never about the signature on the contract. It was about the surrender of our economic sovereignty long before the ink dried on the paper. The signature did not create the problem. It merely revealed how much negotiating power Jamaica had already lost. If we were going to get the toll road, we had to sign. Or we would right now be buried in traffic all over the country. That is a result of poor government, poor governance. The real tragedy was not who signed the contract, but the economic conditions that left Jamaica with so few choices. 300 years of colonialism led, and after that, 40 odd years of mismanagement. That's why we are told today. Don't let nobody go around your head. We are told because our government failed us. And that responsibility cannot but be placed at the feet of the People's National Party. History will not judge us by the signature on the page. Politics will judge that. And that is the game the PNP wants to play here, you know. Classic deflection. Classic PR propaganda. Blame the person who signed. No. Blame the person who caused the conditions that you had to sign. It's like you thief a man's car and then blame him for walking. You can't thief a man's car and then you blame him for walking. You have to blame the thief. He's the thief that caused the man to walk. It's like many men impregnate girls and then blame them for being bad. History will not judge us by the signature on the page at all. History will judge by the decisions that surrendered our sovereignty before the contract was even written. Because before the contract was written, it was already signed. The signature was the symptom. The surrender of economic sovereignty was the disease. And Jamaica was sick. Don't talk about signature here. Talk about the disease. FinSAC was the disease. Lack of growth, lack of development, lack of employment. That's the disease. Who told us? Who sold us? So let us stop arguing about the hand that held the pen. Let's not argue about the hand that held the pen and start confronting the policies that weakened the nation. It is not the pen. Don't blame the pen. Blame the policies. The policies told us. They sold us and they told us. The signature may identify who signed the agreement, but it does not explain why Jamaica was forced to negotiate from weakness rather than strength. Oh, what a tangled web they weave when they set out to deceive. It is a shame to sit and listen to this toll debate. Because in the end, the issue is not the signature. The issue is the surrender of sovereignty that occurs when a nation loses control of its economic destiny. Jamaica must not go back, you know. And all of you making up noise over the internet and talking all type of crap need to understand that we are barely coming out of the slum. The issue was the symptom The signature. Signature was the symptom. The surrender of economic sovereignty was the disease. And in the end, the issue is not the signature. It is the surrender of sovereignty that occurs when a nation loses control of its own economic destiny. And so when the PNP comes out with a flyer blaming the Jamaica Labour Party for tolling Jamaica, it is most disingenuous. I await the response of the JLP to this matter, but I thought that it would be important for me to do this recording so that my views on the matter could be heard. I want to thank you for joining. I have to run. I'll catch you later around about 6 o'clock. Take care.